I wouldn't believe it. It would have been true, but remember back in the '80s, there was a game by Konami based off the Goonies. And this is long before we knew about the original Goonies. We're talking about the sequel that is the Goonies II. Well, seems like Spielberg wanted to make a Goonies II, a movie. And, well, there's plenty I had to say about that. I had this article up since all week long, since Monday. So we're gonna read about it. Following word from Richard Donner that a sequel to the beloved 1985 film, and it's almost been 30 years since. The Goonies was still in the works. Comes a notable update about the project. Steven Spielberg, who executive produced and was credited for the story of the original film, is apparently the mastermind behind the idea for the sequel. This according to Richard Donner, who was once again questioned by TMZ. Exactly how involved Spielberg is or will be in Goonies 2 seems as vague as pretty much everything else about the project. But here's the video that includes Donner's recent comments. I know I'm not going to play it because that'd be spoilers. If you want to play for yourself, I will deliver you the site in question. But onward. Richard Donner sparked renewed buzz about the Goonies sequel when he commented about it earlier this month. And the new video gives us a bit more information to work with, mainly as it relates to Steven Spielberg's involvement as /film points out. It's a little odd the way Donner answers the question he's asked about the follow-up this time around. And that's certainly worth noting, in terms of how we should interpret exactly what he's saying here. First, he seemingly jokingly pretends not to know what the reporter's asking, and then passes off the question by saying, "You'd have to ask Steven." After confirming that Steven Spielberg is, of course, involved in the sequel, Donner gets noticeably more chatty about the project, stating, "Steven came up with this idea of doing a sequel after 30 years. Yep, that's 30 years. He goes on to confirm that it was his idea, and Donner also knows we've been trying for a while before adding, and then he came up with another storyline. He's right on. While the timeline of the events as far as conception and development of this project seems a bit fuzzy by Donner's word, it's not new that a Goonies sequel has been a possibility for a while. Since the 80s, man. Since the 80s. But it sounds like they might actually have something worth working with, thanks to Spielberg's story idea. As for the cast, nothing sounds certain as far as who might return, but it does sound like a sequel would aim to involve the original characters, as Donner says. God knows it's up to them. If they have any sense, they will. If they don't, they won't. The original cast included Josh Brolin, Sean Astin, Martha Plimpton, and Corey Feldman. I'm a lot of things, including an optimist and a former child of the 80s. So am I. Who grew up believing kids could accomplish anything if they cared enough, thanks to movies like E.T. and The Goonies. So while I'm inclined to be hopeful that Goonies 2 would tap into the heart and soul of the original, delivering another adventurous tale about a bunch of kids in search of treasure that inspires a new generation of kids. I'm just as wary as the next guy that cashing in on nostalgia might be the real priority here. However, I'm reserving judgment until we start to hear ideas about the story for Goonies 2. As it sounds like Steven Spielberg's idea for it may have played a big part in the project coming back to life. And given the choice between a sequel of some sort And in an all-out remake, I'm inclined to think the former idea is the better approach. But enough about my opinions. Where do you stand? Oh. Well, from what I'm seeing here, that's going to be something if for some reason the original cast does reunite, with the exception of people who quote unquote passed away. Now, when I think about it, what I honestly think about this idea is simple. We're a quarter in of 2014. We're now getting a chance to see if there is going to be a Goonies 2. And I remember that the game held up a lot of questions. And I do mean it held up a lot of questions. Like, A, if you do make a Goonies 2, you're going to have to scratch off Mont Fratelli. I mean, Anne Ramsey's been dead for years. So therefore, we're going to try to piece together what could happen if, by fact, this would work. Okay, the game had Mont Fratelli escaping from jail along for boys. Okay, the movie version, I'm kind of sharing this theory of my own. The movie version, Mont Fratelli passed away. She, quote unquote, she passed away in jail while serving her time in jail. Her two kids, quote unquote, want revenge for the very little dipshits that sent them to jail to begin with, namely the Goonies. Okay, this would more than likely involve kidnapping the original Goonies, or at least the remaining Goonies. Now, let's just say the kids from the original Goonies are just as adventurous and outgoing as the original, their parents. Or maybe they just might be, a group of neighborhood kids who basically looked at the Goonies as some sort of, bunch of heroes or whatever. They go into this old house in which the original Goonies are just somewhere kidnapped or something like that. I don't know if it'd be the right thing, but I don't know. Trying to base something straight off the original plot of the game, which was just that. You basically had to rescue the Goonies from Mont Fratelli and her boys. If there'd be a better idea than that coming from Spielberg, like a new generation of Goonies, I'm all for it. I'm really all for it. But there's one thing that has to be answered. And that one question is, where the fuck does the mermaid come into play? And you know what I'm talking about. Annie the mermaid. It's like, How do you explain that? It's like it's like this. You saw how the ending of the Goonies II, the game, was. It's like, yeah, they recaptured Ma Fratelli. She'd been put into prison again, and nobody actually understands about the mermaid. It's kind of like with it's kind of like with the first Goonies movie. It's like when Sloth came about, everyone was freaked out except for Chunk, since he was the only one of the group that got captured. He had time to bond with the character, so it leads me to think, okay, I'm considering the idea of what would happen if they merged the game, if part of the game was merged with this idea, this this so-called idea that Spielberg has for the sequel to the Goonies. I mean, as a kid growing up in the 80s, I would watch it because, every time it came on TV or cable, I watched it. And as we all know, the Goonies are good enough. I guess that would make the RCO a bit like the Goonies, wouldn't it? The group Random Co-op are the new Goonies. No, just kidding. We're enough to be the new version of the Goonies. Swear to God. The only problem is I don't wield a yo-yo of any kind. I only have two swords. I mean, look, we got the crew here. We got the brains of the operation, the tech guy, the strong arm, the wit, and the token fat guy, and two chicks who just happen to be drug along on the journey. The two chicks are not seen in this picture, but you know what I'm getting at. And then you have, of course, you have the mutant. You have Sloth, who basically shows up, who's basically there the entire time, and the actor who actually did Sloth passed away. So that's like two. I'm not sure about Corey Feldman. I think he passed away too. One of the Corys I know passed away. I'm not sure if it's Corey Feldman or Corey Haim. I'm thinking, no, Corey Feldman's still around. I forgot he's doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so therefore he's still around. But as for the rest of the cast, it would be interesting just to see the original Goonies all grown up and having children. And their children know each other by way of their parents. So that would be interesting. I really want to I would really welcome this, seriously. I would really want to welcome this idea that, hey, it's the Goonies. As everybody remembers the Goonies, everybody remembers the strange cut that they saw of freaking octopus. Because everybody kind of remembers the octopus. They mention it. They mention it in the movie. There was an octopus scene. Of course, I think the octopus scene was cut out, or I don't know. But I'm pretty sure I've seen the octopus, I think, once. This leads me to do one thing, though. If there is a director's cut, I'm going to get it for myself just to see for myself if there is indeed an octopus scene. But aside from that, The Goonies is one of those movies you just want to go back to, back to when you were a kid, just to meet with that kid of heart. The kid at heart wants to see it, so tugging at the strings. Like, come on, you can see it. It's okay. And of course, like I said, I'm only sharing my opinion about it. But my friends out there on the interwebs, I'm going to share this article with you, and please do share the article with your friends. And don't forget to leave your opinions and comments on said video, if you have any. Now they got more, but I'm gonna leave the I'm gonna leave this up to you. And that question is, how many of you would like to actually see The Goonies II, the movie? All those opposed, give a thumbs up, or a comment, or both. It doesn't matter. But it's worth asking to the entirety of the interwebs, whoever's watching. I want to hear what you think, because your feedback is most important about the subject. So with that, I have been the Tenkaichi of gaming and otaku, and you be the judge about The Goonies II, the movie. See you around with more videos.